So let's go over what we covered in this module. Well, the first thing that we did is we defined what a class is. I showed you from a very high level what a class is, and we kind of drilled down deeper, understanding that a class is really a custom type that we are able to make, and that really a class is a grouping of methods in data. We saw that if a class is a blueprint, then an object will be a house, or if a class is a cookie cutter, then an object will be that cookie. Then we went through and we talked about members. We talked about how to make up a class, and that a class consists of data and methods that operate on that data. So we saw how members are really the thing that builds up a class. Then we went through some examples and I showed you how we could create a class. We created a printer class and we made some data for that printer class. And we saw how we could create different instances of that printer class and then use those objects and manipulate those objects in our code. Then we went through and we needed to do something useful with our printer class. So we created some methods to be able to print, and we created a method to be able to get our model number from our object. I showed you some of the ways that you could use methods, and we played around with some ways of using methods on our printer class. And then we went through over an important point of how to initialize our objects. I showed you how you could create a constructor that would allow you to pass in some data that you could use to create your class. And then finally we went over some of the access modifiers in Java. We didn't cover all the access modifiers and all of their uses, but basically we went over public and private and saw how we could use access modifiers to hide certain data in our classes and to expose other data and methods. Well, that's it for this module on classes. Hopefully you have learned a little bit about what a class is in Java, and there is a lot more to this subject, but I just want to give you a basic introduction so that we can build from this and get into some of the more complicated aspects of Java.